So, let me clarify. So, in the beginning of your speech, you went on a whole tangent about how the desecration of the entire atomic bomb and how brutal it was, right? Correct.
So first of all, it was not a tangent. It was me simply delineating the ways in which the United States
Okay.
acted unethically and disproportionately. Yes.
Okay. So you talked about it. Yes.
Yes, I feel sufficiently.
Okay. So you right now are poising yourself as the judge of the severity of human crimes between what they committed against us and what we committed against them.
So I'm not comparing the crimes and the response per se. What I am
But that
doing.
was your third contention.
Well, if you'd allow me to finish speaking, then I will explain
Go ahead.
myself fully. So, as I stated, I am not setting myself up or poising myself, as you put it, to be the arbiter of morality in this debate.
Okay.
I, however, along with my debate partner, are simply positing an ethical criteria by which we judge whether or not the United States was justified and that their response was necessary given the context of the situation. We're simply stating that because of it violating the principle of proportionality and objectivity,
Yeah.
that it was not ethical or justified by any means.
I guess my follow-up question would be, okay, if despite it not in your words being proportional, what do you suggest the U.S. should have done? Should have they just laid down after getting invaded?
They shouldn't have just laid down, but there are other means to a war than atomic bombing a normal city that was housing civilians mostly.
Are you guys aware that we gave them warning?
For the atomic bomb,
Yeah.
minimal warning, plus nothing could have prepared these people because no one had ever fully seen the ramifications of an atomic bomb with that magnitude of power and destruction. It would have been like warning people for something they can't even begin to fathom yet. Secondly, we're not saying that they should have just accepted defeat, the United States against Japan. We're saying that it was an already diminishing morale. They were on the brink of surrendering, and that because the United States wanted to kill two birds with one stone effectively, we chose to use an atomic bomb, whereas other means of warfare that were just as viable could have been employed, like regular fire bombings that were already being deployed over Tokyo and other cities. So for that reason alone, we're saying that it wasn't justified or ethical. They could have used other measures for sure.
They could have used other measures, but at this time, like you stated, Russia was creating their own atomic bomb, right?
Yes, absolutely. We wanted to beat them to the punch, so to speak.
Okay. So we, as a country, we were just under attack from Japan in Pearl Harbor, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
for
Yes.
like 4 years prior,
Correct.
December 7th,
Correct.
1942.
All right. Now, if two countries who are against us, one country who just invaded us, one, it would be a show of weakness if we never had a reaction to them at all. Okay. And second of all, if Russia's creating an atomic bomb and they see America's weak after just being invaded and not doing anything about it, you know the ramifications of that, right?
So you are essentially agreeing with us that one of the United
It
States'
doesn't
vested
necessarily make it
interests,
unethical, though.
but I'm clarifying. You are agreeing that one of the motivating factors for the United States dropping the atomic bomb was to prove to Russia exactly what could be done with it, correct?
They already knew.
So
what could be
therefore
done
they
with
are
it.
not objective, right?
They already knew what could be done with it.
Who, the Russians?
Yes.
How could they have possibly known the full scale of the catastrophe of the atomic bomb when it had never been deployed yet, prior to Hiroshima in August 6, 1946?
You really think that nuclear physicists, the best nuclear physicists in Russia, didn't know what's going to happen if they make an atomic bomb?
No matter what, didn't have it hadn't been done yet. So you can't know something and how it's going to react to the fullest scale according to like the environment and everything unless it happens.
And I would also posit that the best scientists in the world were actually being were working together in Los Alamos in the United States. So Russia is a little bit irrelevant at this point, and even the best nuclear physicists who were working with an experimental form of science, they were actually afraid that they were going to completely upend the world whenever they deployed the atomic bomb with the Trinity testings in Los Alamos prior to dropping them on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So even the best minds in the world theoretically could not really fathom the full scale of the destruction. Just for what it's worth.
Do you have any questions?
Do you feel like the atomic bomb gave the incentive that to ensure that the other regions would not invade the U.S. again? Do you feel like it gave off the message that it wanted to?
Unequivocally, yes, it did communicate a message loud and clear that this is what happens whenever you fool around with the United States, you find out. And for that reason alone, my debate partner and I are arguing that it was not an objective response to what the United States deemed as a threat from Japan. It was cold, it was calculating, and it was used for an ulterior motive. Therefore, it fails the ethical criteria by which we set out to judge whether or not the bombings were justified and also ethically done.
But wasn't the bombings from Japan that invaded Hiroshima, from what I'm understanding, didn't that have the same incentive to scare the U.S. into submission? So
We're not talking about the United States being bombed by Japan. What we're simply stating is that insofar as, yes.
That's incredibly convenient
Hold
to
on,
not talk
hold
about
on.
that, Joe.
Then I'll talk about it now.
Okay.
So yes, that was a calculated move on the part of the Japanese to attack and to undermine the safety and the security of America during a pivotal point in World War II. However, we're saying that our response to that transgression of the Japanese was disproportionate and not objective. It was done with an ulterior motive, and for that reason alone, it can't be ethical and justified, given the criteria that we set forth at the beginning of this debate.
How was it done with an ulterior motive if
Because we're trying to prove a point to Russia. We're getting back at Japan. That's the ulterior motive. Revenge
Revenge
and a
is
warning.
not the same as defending
But
the
hitting
country.
two birds with one stone isn't necessarily an ulterior motive.
I believe it is.
If conveniently doing this also aids this situation.
So you pretty much just defined ulterior motive. So I think that we're good to table for now, and maybe this will be more productive when you guys commence with your constructive speech. Wouldn't you agree? Yes? Okay, thank you.
Okay.